A little behind the scenes dev sneak peek, plus some more scouting. Let's get into it here today. I'm really excited. We've seen over the last couple of days a couple of additional details, some videos, some gifs, some stuff showing up related to scouting. So we got a little bit more information to jump into today. Luffy asked on the Discord, and Luffy, my friend, we're talking about it today. Let's get into it. Welcome back. Took a few days, little break. Just been doing some grinding. Just been having some fun, getting some stuff done. And yeah, some more news drops. So excited to get into it. First and foremost here, I had to do a little finagling to get this to work. But over on the official Last Standard Discord, our friends decided to give us this little kind of technical sneak peek behind the scenes. So I ended up capturing it in a little video. We're going to be able to move forward through it. Let's give a quick run. It's only a few seconds, but it gives us a little detail, some interesting things I think we can draw from this, and then we'll jump over to the video, the additional little sneak peek that we got as well. Okay, so that is it, and it's pretty interesting here. A couple of things I want to talk about. So I, first and foremost, am not a game developer. So some of this stuff I don't know. I'm drawing a few conclusions just based on what I can see, but they did go ahead and they talked about, let me bring this up on my other monitor here really quick. The news that came with this says, "Hey survivors, this is what technical artists routine looks like when we're working on the largest locations in the history of Last Stand Earth." So here's what's interesting. This might not seem appropriate in terms of scale, but we get a better idea here as we get a little bit farther into it. Now, this is probably some crafting. There looks to be, in my opinion, just from what we see, kind of a crafting of a route through this. I would signify these as like start and end points, but again, that's just my very, very unknowing perspective here. But that's what I see. And again, of course, lots of folks, we can have some conjecture. I feel very strongly that this is related to scouting, and we'll talk about why here in just a minute. But as we go forward, we start to see a few things come together here. Generalized maybe pathing here, maybe branch points or specific event points. I'm not really too sure, but you can kind of see some of that come together as they build this out, right? And then you start to see a couple of additional details get drawn in here, and a couple additional points, right? There's probably some other stuff going on here. Obviously scaling for location. And then what we get is we get essentially to be able to see, I'm going to take this as far as I can here. And I think it's right about here. I think right before we go out. So it's interesting, we see a few things. First and foremost, we see a road here. Now, this is the main reason I think this is related to scouting, because again, scouting, as we know, is going to be very much related to our chopper, utilizing that key mode of transport. Again, potentially and highly likely that upgrades are coming with this. But it makes very much sense that scouting is going to be related to this. You're going to have to use the bike. And they talked about in previous and a few other videos that we've done, they talked about this is going to really allow you to move through these locations in different ways. Now, I anticipate that this is just maybe one of multiple, I am hoping. But they talk about that you're going to be able to move through these locations. One is going to be just kind of guns blazing, running through there. The other, which I talked at length about, was being able to use stealth, which I'm very excited for. And what I just get the sense for is you're going to have to maneuver along this path. And what it looks like to me is that there might be other stopping points, maybe little mini events or other things that come up here. So what we get to see here, obviously we see terrain. I don't know what these kind of, to me, this looks like a barrier here on the side, kind of the jagged, like square type things. That would make sense because obviously they have to maybe limit how far we can go to the left and right. But we obviously see some terrain built in. There might be some additional terrain that gets built here. And then here, while it's difficult to make out we see essentially what looks like the first kind of barrier. I think this looks a lot like the military outpost that we saw. It looks like, to me, there's some of the HESCO barriers that we saw in the video. A few other small details are really tough to make out, but I think generally kind of looks like that. I see kind of what looks like a stopping crossing arm right here. So we get some interesting details here. And then there's, again, some other plotted points. And I don't think this is even a portion. I would say this is maybe a quarter of what we saw kind of from the very top-down, zoomed-out view. So if that ends up being the case, this is a huge location. Lots to work through, lots to maneuver around, and that's pretty dang cool. So I don't want to glean or see too much from here, but it does also look like, again, if we're given enough space, if there's enough obstacles, I can very much see the ability to kind of move past this. We have some other kind of vertical, I don't know, these almost maybe are like gates, or maybe they're starting to put in like those road barriers that we've seen like on the highway, like normal highways that you would see, but part of behind the gas station. We can see one of them there. Obviously there's some, you know, geometric modeling for how these things work in the space, and what we can see. So pretty interesting here, little look. If we zoom back down, get a little bit better look here at everything that we can see. And again, this is really just, it's kind of shouting to me that military checkpoint we saw in one of the previous sneak peeks. Yeah, and there you go. There you can kind of see the little road barriers, so look like they're maybe putting those in. We have seen that in the past, like I said, some of the details, and they're going to reuse some of the modeling. I'm sure there's going to be lots of new stuff. This is obviously pretty new, but, you know, we have our trees as we typically do, some of the ones that are dead and dying, some of the ones that are obviously the pine trees that we typically see. Interestingly enough, see what looks like an ash tree here, potentially, kind of right here too. So maybe, I don't know. That'd be an interesting inclusion. But be able to move through here. It's also interesting to see these little purple dots. Not really sure what they represent, but here's the really interesting thing. In the very, very back here, you see a purple dot here. You see a purple dot here. It looks like the path actually branches. That's pretty cool too. If we get some locations that every time you go, give you the ability to kind of choose your path, right? A lot of our locations now are very linear, right? You go from one point to the other, and that's not bad. That's fine. Obviously, we have some more free roaming locations. All of our northern locations are regular grinding locations, but a lot of them, think T-Hub, think, you know, Bunker Alpha. You're starting on floor, you're going in a circle, whether clockwise or the other way. Bunker Bravo, same thing. You're basically just moving through the location, a very predetermined pattern. We get an opportunity to branch here, which looks like might be a very good possibility. That could be pretty interesting. And maybe through some exploration with this event or with this location, maybe it resets, maybe we see this again and a rotation or different missions take us here. Being able to pick your path is kind of an interesting one. And the reason I say that, I'll come back to this. Let's see, where is it? I started probably right about here. Start to see some things form up. Here we go. And this to me seems like potentially maybe a branching path and then another branching path, right? Or multiple branching paths being able to come together to, again, start point, finish point, or vice versa. I don't really know. And then just a general outline for maybe how this whole thing is going to flow. It's kind of why I think that could be pretty interesting, pretty neat. Obviously, this is kind of getting the roadway continued to be refined. It's also pretty cool if we're able to kind of just go off the beaten path and explore some more. But I'm not really sure. We'll have to obviously see when we get to the location here. So yeah, that's what I see. And I really recommend anybody, if you get a chance, get over to the official Last Day on Earth Discord, come to our Discord, give this a watch, see if you see any details or anything that stands out to you. I personally, this is the kind of sneak peeks that's always really interesting to me. So I give a lot of credit to the dev team for this, because a lot of times you don't get this stuff, or you get it like after the stuff has already been released, which is fine as well. I like to see kind of the background. I'm just inquisitive like that in many instances, but it's kind of neat to see a little bit of a sneak peek, get a little sample, do some conjecture, kind of, you know, take a guess at what might be coming up here. And this is pretty cool. But I like a few things that I've heard. Largest locations, which again, I think when you have the chopper, and if you're giving the ability for us to drive that chopper through and use it again as a scouting, because there's really no good locations to drive the chopper. We need it to be able to scale out, right? We need to be able to drive through these. You know, when you get on your chopper in a normal location, you kind of get a little bit of a zoomed out view. And I think that would be really neat in a location that's, you know, 4 times as big or whatever the case for the scale of this is going to be. And again, if you want to bum rush through, drive your chopper, smash everything along the way, get through as fast as you can, that could be pretty cool. Which leads me to one other thought that I've had. I'm very interested to see if we get some new zombies, we get some new types of enemies with this, and I'm very interested to see if we get some zombies that can just stop chopper in their tracks. Now, I don't want them to have a shield because damn you, riot zombies. I hate you, okay? But I would think it would be pretty cool if there is some pros and cons to some of the ways that we might go to approach these locations. Again, if we're going to bum rush through, maybe we come up to some armored zombies that are a little bit harder to take down. If you do a stealth approach, maybe there's some zombies that are a little bit more sensitive and you have to be a little bit more tactical with your sneak. Or if we're just going to bum rush our way through with our chopper, maybe there are some zombies that can just mitigate that as well. It's an interesting thought. I have nothing to base that opinion on, but I did think it would be pretty cool, and again, to facilitate the way and the different ways that we might go and clear these locations. So, all right, let me do a quick swap over, and let's talk and showcase the other little sneak peek video that we got. Okay, so here it is. We're going to do one quick just playthrough of it, and then we'll jump in and talk about a few things that we see. Okay, so that's what we got here. Pretty interesting. Another very short 20-second or so little snippet here. And let me just bring us into view on a few things. So first and foremost, invariably, if I get a comment that this isn't related to scouting, there is literally a guy on a bike right here, okay? This is for scouting. It's Exploration Teaser 4. That's obviously the next thing that we have coming up here. What's interesting in this is, in my opinion, not a ton, but we do get what looks like another motel-esque vibe. We do finally see a few more zombies, some slumbering zombies, some things here. So again, I think it's helping us to kind of see, and we've seen this before where you can kind of wake these zombies up. So I think it's kind of continuing to build on the fact that, again, different play styles here is pretty interesting. We have some new things here. I don't think we've ever seen a soda machine necessarily, but not a ton else from this picture to kind of gather. It is always good and kind of interesting to see cars. Potentially another option for some engines would be pretty nice, and that could play into, again, maybe how we go to upgrade our chopper or different things that we might be searching for. Obviously, chopper, you can put the engines on there. So just a few things that I notice here, but looks like, again, a new location, which is pretty sweet. So we fade through to that, and then we come to Camp Me, which just looks like an RV camp. And I want to just take a quick look. Yeah, so I was going to see if like this building had anything to do with what we saw before. I don't think so. So potentially another location that we could be seeing. So maybe we're going to see 3 of these new locations. Could be pretty interesting. I don't gather a whole ton here, just besides the fact that some of this we have seen before. If you are familiar, there are some pop-up events that can happen randomly in like the pine zones, and it looks like these tents might be kind of similar-esque to what we've seen before. We've seen more of those events get added with iterations, especially as we got the northern region update and the island region update. They seem to update some of those events. I've seen some like military camps and some other stuff that you can get. So kind of interesting to see here. We see some cars in the background. We see a campfire going on. I don't see any zombies here. No, I don't think so. Nothing in here. And again, nothing really jumps out at me, but kind of cool to, again, see potentially some other locations. We also see this one kind of buried in the woods a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the location that we talked about with that kind of dev behind the scenes first video or GIF or whatever that we had that could potentially lead into one of these other locations, right? Maybe we have to traverse through that in order to then get to a new location that we can then go explore, sneak around, gather some loot, or do some missions, or however that system is going to work. So it's going to be very interesting. I am encouraged, again, by the fact that we have that kind of road route system. I'm encouraged that we have like a new motel area or hotel area, and we now have an RV camp as an additional location here. So let me know if you see something else. Again, strongly recommend that you go and take a look at the official Last Day on Earth Discord. You can watch these videos and scroll through them yourself. I can't gather anything from the writings here, all these little scribbles. I was really trying to pay attention. I think it's funny that it says Camp Me, and it's barren now. And so that is pretty interesting, but pretty cool here stuff. I'm excited to see, and I am encouraged. The one other thing I am encouraged about, and we saw this here at the start, door open. We're going to be able to explore this. It looks like also this is open as well. So this building in the background is also open. So some good opportunities to potentially go and maybe get inside some other new locations, right? Maybe even be able to go and explore some of these RVs. Heck, there's a ladder here. Maybe we can get on top. One of the things that I've been thinking about quite a bit, I've been doing some transport hub runs as we kind of continue to build up on our free-to-play account and work through some other drone mods, is the fact that I really like the elevation change in locations. Not going down different floors like Bunker, that is cool, but I like the fact that at the location we can climb a ladder, we can go up top, we can get on the roof of the little security station, we can go up into the rafters of Transport Hub. And that's something that, in my opinion, if possible, and I know that, you know, locations have to be designed this way, I think that's pretty cool. We saw something very similar with some past kind of seasonal events. What do you call it? Which event was it? It was the one where we had to fight the spirits, and it wasn't this past iteration. It was the one previous to that last year, where you could actually climb the ladder and get on the roof and run around, and that's how you could like traverse the different roofs and find some different loot. It was just really cool. That elevation change, in my opinion, is really, really neat. And I'd love to see some like mechanics or things related to that as well. I'm really honestly hopeful if we do end up getting suburbs, maybe sometime next year, and I know that's not related to this discussion, but if we do end up seeing suburbs, I would love for them to kind of play around a little bit more with that, right? Be able to like go up a floor and then step out like onto a balcony, or cross something onto a different roof from a different floor, and just give a little bit more of that feeling of exploration, right? Transport Hub is great. Go up the ladder and you can go on top of one of the crates that you can go into at one point, you know, in the back. I think that is just really, really neat, and I would love to see that if they can make it work. And it makes sense, of course, for locations. Could be pretty cool to see. So I am continuing. I'm going to finish this one up here just by saying I'm continuing to get very excited for scouting. Again, the dev sneak peek that we looked at, huge, you know, biggest location, they said, one of the largest locations in history of Last Day on Earth, is very exciting. Gets me really excited that, again, we might actually be able to use and drive our chopper through these places, which would be really cool, which again isn't really something we've had the chance of doing. And I'm excited for more opportunities to upgrade that, maybe more storage, maybe more power. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what else they're able to do with that. So that's what we got here for you today. More Last Day on Earth content and plenty on the channel. Check out all the playlists. Got a free-to-play series. Got all our main account stuff going on. We got our Wasteland Survival Guide. Mentioned the Discord a ton. Come on over. Links in the description. Hit that sub button for us if you're new. We'd love to have you. We do a whole bunch of different stuff here Last Day on Earth, trying to keep you up to date with all the events and stuff going on. Sneak peeks and news, as well as just have some fun and maybe provide a little bit of value on how to make your way through the game as well. So thanks for watching. As always, have a good weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.